Technological revolution for the past few years has been dramatically altering not just the look of classrooms but how education is imparted. Hello and welcome today on Education Dialogues to discuss the impact of technology on education. I'm joined by Mr. Deepak Mehrotra, Managing Director, Pearson India. Thanks for talking to us, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, in the past few years, we have seen that with the introduction of different kinds of technological, especially gadgets like smart boards and internet-based device, application-based device, the manner in which education is imparted has changed completely from what it was 10 to 15 years ago or much earlier. So how has that really changed and where do you see this going?
There has been a dramatic change. There was a time when chalk and cheese was the only method that followed. You could have classrooms run under a tree with just a small blackboard there, to a completely different end of the spectrum today, where you have the classes in a virtual class is getting delivered to you from a laptop or a tablet. Your instructor is sitting in a different continent and is maybe talking synchronous with you. So that's the other end of the spectrum. But there's somewhere in the middle is where you are seeing many more population of schools, large higher education institutions sort of gravitating. The fact that you have a very large young cohort which is very keen on adopting technology. They are more comfortable being on the net than in the physical world. You obviously have to go and be where the learner is. Right. So, and that means that your entire delivery, your instruction, right, your pedagogy has to shift to align to this changing environment around you. So,
learning is also no more an isolated experience.
Absolutely.
Now.
So not just that, so the role of the teacher is changing, and the teacher needs to deploy technology to build engagement, excite, motivate a child to learn on an ongoing basis. Two, learning need not stop in the classroom, right, because a lot of these data points are coming to the child because they are on the net, and there is this shared learning and there is this peer group that they are engaging and constantly talking to. Learning is happening all around. So continuous learning and the role of the classroom and the teacher using technology has to change, and that's, you can see some of the progressive institutes spending time, effort, energy in terms of enabling that. As the provider of some of these capabilities, our role is also changing. So earlier we were trying to provide the hardware and the capability around. We were focusing on creating content that would go in. Now our focus is on, okay, there is great content. Yeah. We are not the only source of content. There is a lot of free content available from multiple. So how do we deliver pedagogy? The science of learning, how the child learns, how the higher education learning should happen, and then training the instructors around that space to deploy technology in a meaningful manner, right, to make the learning experience complete.
India, of course, has a huge population of young people, of students who are in schools and colleges, or would be in schools and colleges in next 4 or 5 years. Keeping that in mind, what are the kind of avenues that Pearson is looking to explore in the field?
Our big focus is around building institutional capability in the school system. So can we create a product and a solution which is both analog, has the elements of digital capability, which provides the learners and enables the instructors, right, and the administrators to ensure that you deliver a far more stronger, efficacious outcome. So that's one. A big focus for us is also to start getting into managing and delivering learning by managing schools, and we believe that's a great possibility because that gives us the right insight on how learning is happening in a classroom, so that we can bring that into the way we actually create these insights.
How exactly do you feel that, in your opinion, how can digital learning impact learning in schools among school children?
You need to, our challenge today is both infrastructure, and I would say when I talk infrastructure, it's both human as well as the physical side. Right. So the human part comes in from the way we train our instructors to embrace technology, right, and the role change that they're experiencing. How do we prepare them to do that? The infrastructural piece is coming in from the fact that in spite of all the foray that the telecom industry has made, our internet penetration is still fairly low. The robustness of current internet connectivity is still a question mark outside of the top 20 cities. So that part becomes a challenge. But once you fix this, there is enough and more in terms of you have 5 inches phablets, 7 inches phablets available, which can get incorporated into the way the delivery happens. From smartphones interactive devices wherein personal learning paths can get defined for each instructor, each child, and we could actually move that way. Progressively, a digital kind of environment enables an instructor to look at each child in an individual manner, enable the child to follow an individual personal learning path, and both the gifted and the challenged children could get treated differently and get the right kind of attention in that kind of environment. To me, that is a super idea, and that's something that works brilliantly using technology.
Right. You talking about that, you did mention a couple of challenges that are acting as roadblocks, for example, internet penetration. But at the same time, the matter of fact is that India has one of the biggest mobile phone users, base across the world. So that there is perhaps an opportunity there as well.
Fantastic one. Yeah. Fantastic one, and that's where we encourage in our own schools. We encourage children to find a way to if you're going to be spending most of your time browsing on your mom's phone, you may not have a phone until class 9 or 10.
Right.
So if you're going to be monopolizing your mom's phone, can we give you something on your mom's phone which continues your process of learning that you have started in the class? So that using all of that is fantastic opportunity.
Mr. Mehrotra, also talk to us about the kind of plans that Pearson has for higher education, for colleges and universities.
That's a very exciting space. Especially, look, the great opportunity for us is to connect the great institutions globally with the learning needs of the learners in the country. A gross enrollment ratio of 30 is something that everybody talks about, but to get there, you will need to double the capacity of the largest university system in the world. Not possible, not happening in the next 10 years. So you need almost 15% of your GDP to get there. Now, but if you were to start deploying technology, if you were to start bringing in online, distance, and blended learning into the play, bringing the best of institutions and connecting them to the needs of the learner, I think that's a fantastic opportunity. That's something that we believe, because of our global experience, our fantastic relationships we have, our understanding of pedagogy, our close monitoring of what the industry needs, we can create something. So we just brought in a relationship with Cornell into play in India. We launched a program very recently, and we are talking about that. There is much more that can get done by bringing some of the greatest institutions, both domestic as well as global, to start offering programs for our learners in this space. So that's a fantastic opportunity. The way you start engaging, because the workforce of today will not be ready for the challenges and the opportunities that the changing economy is going to throw up in 10 years from now. For that, it needs to be retrained. It needs to acquire completely different set of skills, and you cannot get off from work to do that. And this kind of opportunity is fantastic. You have a huge shortage of instructors and good quality teachers, but you have great curriculum and content available. Why can you not build efficacy, building assessments and engagement for instructors to improve the learning environment?
Thanks for talking to us, Mr. Mehrotra. Thank you so much. On that note, we will wrap up this segment, but you don't go anywhere, as there's a lot more coming up on the other side.